everybody. How we doing?
Hey.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. We are here this week with the first in a series of expert interviews. We have been calling in all our favors and pulling in some of our favorite experts from a few different industries to come and bring you some great information every Monday afternoon about different aspects of being able to run your business as best as you possibly can. And today we have Dave Scott. Would you like to introduce who he is to us?
Dave is a great friend of ours. Dave works for BNG Design and ConnectBooster. ConnectBooster automates our billing processes so that we can collect credit cards and payments every month on a consistent basis. And they do a fantastic job of that. And it provides a great portal for our clients to sign in and pay their bills and check on their invoice status. And one of the companies that ConnectBooster and BNG have is BNG Design, and they do a lot of web marketing. And so Dave is the chief marketing officer for those companies. And Dave is coming to us live from the frozen tundra of Fargo, North Dakota.
Yep.
Except it's not frozen today. It's like 94 degrees outside, and it's a bloody hot.
Oh my gosh!
It's colder here.
It's the 4 days a year. 4 days a year we get it like this. Otherwise, it's freaking freezing.
So let's welcome Dave. Dave spent 15 years. You spent 15 years working in corporate America, and decided to leave that and do something a little more adventurous. Yeah,
I did. I set out. I went on with a startup, a marketing agency, for about 2.5 years, and then I freelanced for a little bit. And I also worked as a consultant in the e-com space. So I worked with some EDI providers and for an e-com company that was based in St. Paul, Minnesota, also tropical St. Paul, Minnesota, and they were also based in Boston and in Utrecht, Netherlands, which is a suburb of Amsterdam. But and then I've been with BNG for a little over 3 years, and it's been an awesome, wild ride.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Paula, you're still here. Can you hear us? Can you hear Dave? Paula, can you hear us? We've got our microphone connected, and I can hear you. And Dave, you can hear us, right?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So maybe that's an old comment.
Maybe it's Dave's audio might be a little bit choppy.
All right, cool. Well, let's just carry on as if the technology has not betrayed us.
Oh my goodness, technology every day.
Isn't it great?
It's amazing what we can do with it, but it does tend to carry a two-edged sword sometimes. So we're actually going to be talking a little bit about that other side of the sword,
Thanks,
kind
Paula.
of the bad side of things, right?
Right.
So.
Right. So Dave is an expert in social media. He's actually helped us out a lot with a lot of the things that we're doing here, and knows a tremendous amount about not just how to build your presence online for your business, but also about how to keep it safe. And since that's what we spend a lot of time talking about here every Monday, about how to keep your company safe, your technology safe, your online presence safe, we thought we would bring in Dave to talk about how, once you've built a great presence online, what you need to do to make sure that it's safe for your company. And I was chatting to him before we started, and he's got some great ideas for you guys.
Yeah. So first of all, I would say I'm a marketing leader by trade. I'm a business guy by trade. I'm definitely not a web expert, but I've learned a lot of the things that you touched on, Jessica, we have an awesome web team here in Fargo at BNG Design. And I really regurgitate and learn a lot of, from what they find out through industry trends and through pitfalls. And, sometimes, a lot of times in the web industry, you learn by either making mistakes, or you learn by experimenting, or you learn by innovating, or getting creative to solve problems. And, honestly, that's how we've learned. There's not really like a book that tells you the right or wrong way to protect your business and be safe and secure online through the web. So a lot of what I learned, I just want to make sure I give credit to them, because they're awesome. They teach me a lot of these things. And, we consult not only internally with the owners of all of our 4 brands and divisions, of which we have 4, but we do a lot of client work too for the SMB and the IT industry, and virtually any company that's in that small to medium-sized business space. So that being said, we learn a lot, and they're super smart. So I have a good team that teaches me enough to be dangerous. But there's three things I want to touch on today, and for you guys. So Angel, if you're talking to a small business, and if you're a small business watching this, right, and say, you've consulted with DataCorps or Angel or Jessica and their team, you undoubtedly have a website, right? And you might use that website for a brochure, right? It might be 1 or 2 or 5 pages long. It might be 350 pages long. The chances of it being that big are pretty small, but either way, you have to understand the way that the web works today. And 10 years ago, the most common form of identity theft and security theft in the world was by paper checks. And that is still a large form of theft today. And this is according to like the Biz Journal and the New York Times. They've done a handful of studies that talk about how the demand for malware and hackers and theft is on the rise. So that being said, it's a different world than it was 10 years ago, right? So when you publish something online, how do you know it's safe? How do you know that your website's not being hacked? And your website is essentially just a big piece of software, right? It's like your email, it's like your credit card software. You manage, I manage my American Express and my personal MasterCard account online through an online portal. That's software, right? It's no different than a website. So how do you protect it? How do you make it good and clean and make sure that, nobody is, trolling it to try to damage your brand reputation or take advantage of you online? So there's 3 things that you'll want to do if you have a website. And we build all of our websites in a platform called Wordpress. And there's a reason why we build in WordPress. Number one, WordPress is kind of like the kid in the candy store to the search engines, right? So putting up a website is one thing, but getting an ROI from it and growing your business through your website is a completely different ball of wax. So you have to drive traffic to your website. You have to make sure that you have really good, compelling, persuasive copy and text and words on your site. You have to make sure the layout is good from a user experience perspective, so your visitors and consumers can find what they're looking for in a really timely manner. So all those things being said, whether your website is just a static brochure website or whether it's something really robust where you've got, a calculator and lots of different assets and tools and case studies and, different downloadables for your prospects to look at, there's 3 things you can do to make them safe. And in WordPress, like the platform that we build in, there's things called plugins. And plugins are essentially modules, and they just help the functionality of your website, right? So for example, a form on your website, like a contact us form, might have a couple of different form fields, like first name, last name, email address, company name, phone number. That's a plugin on the backside of WordPress. So what you need to do on a regular basis is make sure you have a plan to update these plugins. And much like your Microsoft Office suite, or much like your UI in your Apple device or your tablet or your MacBook Pro, you have to update them every so often. And they supply security patches and make sure that you have the most up-to-date secure software so that nothing bad happens to you. If you don't do the same thing with your plugins in WordPress, as an example, you're really opening up yourself to a ton of nefarious activity, and it's just really bad. So make sure that you have a plan to update your plugins on a regular basis. Here at BNG Design, what we do is we have a monthly maintenance plan that we have ourselves, where we go through a checklist, and it's a step-by-step checklist where we update things on our site, right? We're going to make sure our plugins and our software is up to date. We're going to want to make sure our forms are up to date and safe, and do all of the other things that we have to do to maintain our websites to make sure that they're not going to get hit by a hacker or malware. And we do the same thing for our clients. We call it BNG Max. And it's essentially just a recurring revenue, a flat SaaS fee that a company or business would pay every month. And for this fee, we protect their website, we make sure plugins are updated, and lots of other different things. There's a lot more to it, but those are just some of the high-level details. So you have to make sure your plugins and your website software is updated on a regular basis. People will say, oh, man, you got to do it every week, you have to do it every month, do once a quarter. I'd argue once a month or once a quarter is probably frequent enough, but that's just personal preference. There's definitely, again, not a silver lining or a silver bullet, rather, or a rule book that defines this perfectly. So everybody's a little bit different, but that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would tell you to do is if you have forms on your website, one of the things that we've seen in the past and seeing a lot more of, quite frankly, is people or hackers or malware, these bots, these nefarious, evil, nasty bots are filling out forms on your website and they're putting links in them. And you click on this link and instantly, bam, you have now a crypto locker virus on your computer, which can take down your network. It can take down your your PC or your MacBook or whatever you're using, and it can just kill your productivity in business, and it hurts, right? And then the good thing for guys like you is it's job security. The bad thing for your clients is it's a pain. It's a huge pain, and you just don't want to have that happen. We have that happen to one of the partners here.
An expensive mistake.
Huge.
Yeah, totally. It totally is. So not only, and it's not necessarily updating your forms, but you have to be aware of what you're going to get from these forms. That's really the key. So if you have a contact us page or about us page on your website, and say you have a form field on the bottom that says, hey, if you want to do business with us, fill out a first name, last name, email address, company name, phone number, whatever. Hacker or malware will fill that out, send it to you. Be looking for links and be looking for anything questionable. Look for grammar, right? I had an old civics teacher named Mr. De La Pointe, and he used to say, if it looks like a duck and talks like a duck, you know the rest, right? If it looks shady, it's probably shady. If it looks suspicious, it's probably suspicious. If your business partner is sending you 5 gigabyte files or 5 megabyte files, I would call him to say, hey, is this you sending this, or did somebody hack your email address and, we're getting hit with a potential phishing opportunity. The third thing is when you publish your website, a lot of websites will put the email addresses of key contact people, right? So if you have your salesperson or your marketing person, or maybe on the page where you have your contact us or your forms, you might have a link or a sentence that says, for more information, contact us at info@acmeinc.com or sales@acmeinc.com. Well, again, malware and hackers their bots will scan that email address and send you something nasty, and they can trick you to opening up a link. And if you open it up, you're dead in the water and you're really in big trouble. So those are the 3 things that I would tell you from a website development perspective to watch out for, and from a security perspective that will keep your business safe on the web.
That's great. We've spent a lot of time since the whole WannaCry thing happened a few weeks ago. We've spent a lot of time reiterating to our clients and to our guests here on the show that you have to make sure that everything is up to date. I know it's a pain to sit there when you're because you don't turn on your computer unless you need to use it.
Right.
So it's a pain to sit there when you need to be using it for a specific task. Go, I have to update my security settings or whatever. So it's real easy to just hit that dismiss button and blow right by it. Yep. But that's how, it's just like you said, that's how WannaCry and CryptoLocker and all that stuff can find their way in, even though a lot of these are known and patches have been created. And if you just updated your settings, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Correct. Right. And that's also why we try to do as much system maintenance overnight as possible so as not to disrupt the business, which is why we ask our clients, leave your computer running overnight. We'll come in, we'll take care of updates and patches for you, and then the next morning we'll check and see if any were missed and pick them up the next day. So, it's absolutely critical to leave the computers running overnight to do that so as not to disrupt business. But inadvertently with laptops, you might have it in your briefcase or whatnot, and it'll have to be done during the day. And, sometimes you just can't avoid it. You just got to get that done and get it out of the way and then get back to work.
Yeah.
So I was really glad actually that you came to us and said and wanted to talk about people using your online content as their window in, rather, because we think about holes in our operating system or clicking on links in your email. We don't tend to think about weaknesses in the content that we're generating online. Yeah,
and we call that social engineering in the hacker world. And a lot of times you can pick up all the info you need to get right through a gatekeeper from the website, so you get enough people's names, enough people's email addresses and phone numbers. And again, we expose this information because it's critical for people to do business with our companies. But this very information can be used against us too. Yeah,
it's really no doubt.
When you were talking earlier about businesses and their About Us pages, you mentioned how much valuable information can be stored there and how that can be a good thing, but also a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, some companies will go to the extreme, right? And that's what you want to avoid. Like I know some IT or some people who have a very strong IT background who will say, well, gosh, we don't want to publish anything on our website that would give hackers, access to us, which is great, but it's terrible from a sales and marketing perspective, because then how are your customers and prospects supposed to get a hold of you, right? So if you're not giving them, I mean, at the end of the day, the consumer determines value. So if they're determining value from being able to easily contact you, then you need to give them that access, right? But on the backside, you need to have a plan and a resource available. So when you do get hacked or when malware does get downloaded on somebody's device, you have a plan on how to secure your assets, on how to secure your servers, which I'm sure you can definitely talk to a lot, Angel. You want to talk about, your directories, your file directories, where you're storing source files, where you're storing all these things that are stored from an IT perspective, but they're for the purpose of your website. So it's not necessarily a protecting yourself. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. It really is. We had one of the partners here about 1.5 years ago who had an instance where, it was a crypto lock. It wasn't anything really bad. But it shut down his computer, and that's all it did, thank God. And, it was disastrous. We had to rewipe everything and reload everything, and everything ended up being just fine. But it was a link that he clicked on, and, it was not fun. So at the end of the day, it's not about protecting yourself and going to an extreme and saying, oh, I'm going to shut down everything on my website, and I'm going to kill all my forms, and all they're going to have to do is send me a fax or phone number. Oh, don't do that, because then nobody's going to call you. But what you want to do is you want to have a good resource. So when it does happen, you have a plan to attack it. And to your point, Angel, you want to have like a BDR, a business disaster recovery plan developed that touches on social engineering, and that touches on, hey, what if a disaster does hit? And what if it hits our network and every 50 person or 10 people or 20 people in our company get shut down? What's our plan? And that's where you need to really engage with an IT company like DataCorps to help you do that. And the web is just one piece of that puzzle, right? Or one piece of that pie. So if you take a pie and you cut it into 8 chunks or 10 chunks, or my house, like 2 chunks, and I eat one half and everybody else eats the other, you divide it up among 8 or 9 pieces. The web is just one piece or 2 pieces of that whole puzzle and of your IT puzzle. So you want to make sure that's all protected, and that you have a good business disaster recovery plan, and that you have a good IT resource to protect your assets and your servers, as well as a good web resource, so that when your IT firm uncovers an issue, they can subcontract or they can contract or partner with a company that can help you through any website challenges or malware challenges that you have happen to you through the web.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We linked last week. We did a bunch of Facebook Live. You did Facebook Live every day and connected our audience with a lot of really cool resources. And we did put out a link for our disaster plan recommendation and form. And I'll make sure that goes into the comments here. But, my perspective, the reason I'm on the show, because I do marketing for the company. I don't go out and work on anybody's computers, because nobody would want that. Nobody would want me to do that. I know how to hit Control P and Control S, and I can do, nobody wants me working on their computers. But the reason that I get to be on the show is because I get to be the voice for a lot of you guys who are also not tech folks to go, hey, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you that one of the projects that we're working on right now at DataCorps is redesigning our website. Our website is good. We want it to be better. We want it to be more appealing and cooler, because, we want it to be cool.
Yeah.
So I needed to take some stock photography shots to add to our new updated website. And so I went with Angel to our data center, and our data center always is sort of mind-boggling to me. It's just like amazing that that this can exist, because for somebody who doesn't work in that area her whole life, it's sort of like, wow, this is like Willy Wonka's workshop in here. But I go in with my camera and I want to take these stock shots, and Angel had to walk me through what was safe to take pictures of and what was not safe to take pictures of, because there were some things that would have made stunning, beautiful photographs, but would have given lots of dangerous information to bad people on the internet.
Right.
So, my point being, when you're having to make that determination about what is safe to put out there and what is not safe, if you don't know, talking to Angel, talking to your managed services company, they're going to be able to talk to you about what's safe and what's not safe, what's cool and what's not cool, how to keep that safety net in place for yourself online and for your business.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to sit in on a webinar where one of the good guys, a good attacker, the type of guy that you hire to find your vulnerabilities, was walking through how to attack the Orlando Convention Center. And so all he did was he used the website and a few pictures he snapped, and he walked through looking at all the points that he would look at from an attacker's point of view. And a lot of the potential attacker would attack it, they were taken right off of the website.
Wow.
So, there's no doubt that some businesses that we serve have some really visually appealing activities. It's really cool to take a peek inside the data center and all that stuff. But when we take those pictures and put them online and social media and whatnot, we're many times revealing some of the defenses that a business has and some of the vulnerabilities. And so we want to be real careful when we do that. I'll fall on my own sword here and I'll just talk briefly on something that happened to me. My personal blog that I basically use to show people about my helicopters, my remote control helicopters. It recently got defaced, and I hadn't really been paying attention to it, so I didn't realize that the backups weren't running. So I lost that whole website. So Dave, how does something like that happen, and what's the best way to protect a business from something like that happening to, that site was, just a toy for me, but for a business, that site could be money.
Yeah, no doubt. So I have a personal blog as well, and I think you've seen it before, Angel. And it's also built in WordPress, like a lot of the websites that we built, and even all of our internal sites were built in WordPress. And I actually have a automated plugin, you call it alert or notification. So it runs automatically every month or every quarter, and I just get an email, my personal email address, and it says, Dave, your WordPress blog, it's javablog.com, I think it is, or davescott.com. And all I get is an email address or emails from WordPress, from my alert and my essentially an automated backend email that says from WordPress at wordpress.com, Dave Scott, your website, this blog URL, and it names the URL, has now been updated. So you have the most current versions of all your plugins and et cetera. So I don't know how yours exactly happened, Angel. I couldn't speak to that. But if you do those things that I talked about earlier, like if you keep your website up to date and keep all those plugins up to date, it sounds like that was a miss for you. And I've been there. I've had tons of websites go down for that a similar reason, or like your circumstance. But the only way to counteract that I would know of is to make sure that your plugins are all updated. Now, if you're not building in a site like WordPress, and maybe it's a custom .asp site, or it's built in Joomla, which is another open source PHP platform similar to WordPress, they definitely have tools that you can use on their website platforms as well to make sure that everything is up to date. But again, the big question, the thing to be prepared for is when it does happen, like who's the resource you go to fix it? Do you try to figure it out yourself? I mean, Angel, you're a super tech savvy IT guy. So for you, a lot of frustration, I'm sure, mostly mildly annoying, but it's something that you can probably easily figure out or reach out to somebody who can help you. A lot of business owners, they don't have that resource. So you need to find one. Find a really good WordPress development shop or somebody that you can reach out to when your website gets hacked. The one thing I hear a lot of, and this is sad to say, I mean, it's 2017 and people are still approaching websites like a fruity tooty piece of creative, and they're not. It's not a piece of creative. This is not 1967 Mad Men ad agency, with Don Draper as your creative director. It's not anymore. The web is this succinct art meets science meets IT, and all of these three pieces need to work succinctly together like every minute of every day. And you have to throw out the grandiose notions that your way is the right way. And I'm speaking to the business owner now, and that the web is just this thing that you build and, set it, forget it one time, and boom, you're done, and you wash your hands of it. It's not how it works. Right. Website is a complex, robust piece of software. And if you don't update it like everything else, you'll regret it. And there's not intended, but unintended consequences that you'll deal with if you don't have a good plan. What we see with a lot of our clients is, to be quite frank, they go cheap. They don't want a maintenance plan, or they don't understand the nuances of the web and how it works. And they don't understand that it's art and creative and science and IT and these three pieces that merge together. And unfortunately, they're the ones who struggle and have the most troubles long term. And we don't want to see that happen. But we can only lead a horse to water. We can't make it drink. So if you're in the shoes of a business who's looking for a BDR plan, or you're wanting to know how to really use the web to its fullest extent to get you the ROI and grow your business, you have to have an IT provider who can help you with that, who understands the web and how it can help you approach it the right way, so that when you write really great, compelling, persuasive copy, that it's not all for naught, right? That your website doesn't get hijacked 6 or 12 months or 24 months down the road. Now, the odds of that happening are pretty small, but it's happening more and more as the web grows.
Yeah. All right. So
Awesome.
we try to leave our viewers every Monday with one takeaway, one solid action item that they can do as soon as they get done watching our broadcast. What, if you had to give somebody a takeaway about keeping your online content safe, what would be your one today takeaway?
Oof, that's a good one. I would say have some sort of maintenance plan, have some sort of, you can call it insurance plan, whatever you want. We sell them. Most companies now sell them. It's just a small residual fee, 100, 200, 300, 400 bucks a month, whatever that is. And it protects you, right? So, I mean, if you were to buy an ATV or you buy a car or a boat or whatever it is, or house, you don't purchase it without insurance, right? If your house burns down, you don't have insurance, you're out of luck. If you get in a car accident, a fender bender with your ATV, that's a really bad deal, especially if somebody sues you. That's even worse. So you have to have, I mean, sad to say, but because of the evolution of the web, it's just the way it is. And, we all need to accept it. So I would have a maintenance plan. But first, I would get educated on the web. I mean, you can go to WordPress's community. Like, if you're not a web developer, that's okay. You can just go to Google, type in WordPress community, and I'll send you guys this link so you can post it after the show's done here today.
Awesome.
But you can learn a tremendous amount about security, PCI compliance, payments compliance, e-commerce compliance, all of these things in terms of how to make your website safe through WordPress's community. But leave it to the experts, right? Like, don't try to do everything yourself and try to install all kinds of different wonky plugins. Like, hire a WordPress developer who's had a lot of experience, who understands the nuances of the web, and then continue to engage them long term. You'll be better off for it. So educate yourself through WordPress's community, and then have that sort of maintenance or insurance plan. I know that's kind of two takeaways, but they get an extra bonus for free.
That's all right. They get a bonus this week. That's cool.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Well, I really appreciate you taking your time to chat with
Absolutely.
us, and I hope that y'all check out Dave. Dave, where can they find you online?
Yeah, they can just go to bngdesign.net or bngteam.com.
Perfect. We'll make sure that is loaded up in the comments too, along with our disaster recovery plan and all the resources that we mentioned today.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you again, Dave, for taking your time to be with us.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me. This has been great. It's been good to see you. Good talking to you guys.
Great seeing you too. Thanks, and stay warm, cold.
I will.
I
I'll
don't
stay
know.
cool.
Which
stay
one?
cool today. I'll
Stay cool.
I'll stay warm the other 360 days of the year.
Nice.
All right, man.
All
Well,
right.
have a good one.
Yeah, you guys too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.